Again, it's the Piston Fly here, hope you're well. Very exciting day for me today because I'm on a bike that I've been wanting to ride for a long time. It's the sports bike that sort of changed the image of BMW, for me at least, from a sort of an old man tourers manufacturer to one of the leading sports bike manufacturers. This bike came out in, I think, 2009 in its first incarnation, and has been at the top of the sports bike league ever since. So stick around and stay tuned, and for the next few minutes, and I'll tell you my first impressions review of this, the BMW S1000RR. So the first surprise on the RR is actually how comfy it is. Compared to my Panigale, the riding position isn't quite as extreme, and it feels like you could ride this for a long time. You know, it's a sort of bike you could possibly do tours on, I would think, if you could get away with the luggage situation. Let's go down here. And compared to the retro BMW R9T racer that I rode a few months back, this thing is like sitting in an armchair in comparison. It's a very civilised bike, I have to say. I mean, it's brutal if you want it to be, because it's got 199 brake horsepower, massively powerful machine. But on the civilised front, I've got heated grip switched on, which, even though it's supposed to be the British summer, is lovely. I've just got them set, and that's comfy. If you are going to tour, it's even got cruise control. A sports bike with heated grips and cruise control. How civilised is that? I absolutely love that idea. And it's got the big old 4-cylinder inline unit, and it's creamy smooth in use. And even at slow speed here in town, doesn't complain at all. And the bike is fitted with the quick shifter that BMW used, which is both up and down. And I have to say, it's the best incarnation of that quick shifter I've ever used. Although, to be honest, I don't know if I've ever used it on anything other than a boxer engine. But on here, the quick shifter is just super smooth. Possibly the best quick shifter I've ever used. So pleasingly easy to ride is what is my initial impression of the bike. Nothing hard about this at all. On a practical level, mirrors, they look massive, but they work absolutely brilliantly well. No vibration, I can see good view behind me. I'm not just looking at my shoulders or elbows, which is nice. Suspension is not bone shaker rock hard. Probably wouldn't describe it as soft, but it's much more compliant than I anticipated. So much more plush ride than, again, my Panigale, which is obviously the only other bike I can really compare it to, because that's the sports bike I know best. What I need to do is just get out of some of this traffic and just try the bike at slightly higher speeds, more of the environment that it was designed for. In terms of the comfort for riding it, there doesn't feel like much weight on my wrists at all. I'm actually propped up a little bit by the tank, which humps up quite pleasingly into your stomach and gives you a little bit of a rest. And also the bike feels relatively wide, which I suppose it would do for a 4-cylinder machine, and you can get a nice grip with your knees on the sides of it, and all that adds up to take the weight off your wrist. So a comfortable ride, obviously sporty. My legs are well tucked up and I'm leant well forward, but as I said, not an uncomfortable ride for a sports bike for sure. Brakes on it work absolutely fabulously well. Right, let's go down this road. Just see how she goes. Just hold back a little bit. Right, just a very quick acceleration test then. Nothing behind me. I'm clear ahead. Yep, she's as brutal as I expected she would be. The bike absolutely flies. If anything, it feels a little bit quicker than the Fireblade that I rode recently. And sounds superb with that 4-cylinder engine whining. Beautiful, beautiful engine. Of course, one of the problems with these litre sports bikes is you really only can scratch at the surface of their performance envelope when you're riding on the road. You really need to take them on a track to really learn what they can do. But yeah, this thing absolutely flies. I'll take her on the dual carriageway in a minute, and we'll just see what the wind protection and so on is like. So in terms of electronics package, it's got everything thrown at it as you'd expect from BMW. This is the sport version of the bike, and it's got the dynamic damping control, which is the semi-active suspension. It's got 3 riding modes on this: wet, or rain rather, sport and race. I've got it set in sport at the moment. Race makes the throttle very sensitive and is really track focused. and then you can buy a little extra chip to plug in, or rather I think it's done at the dealer, and that opens up some more modes for you which are a bit more programmable and allow you to change a lot of the parameters and make active this switch here that says slick on it. This is very much a track fans button, but as I say, you have to have the additional riding modes installed for that, which is an option. Okay, I'm just going to join the dual carriageway briefly just to check what she's like in terms of wind protection. Loving these heated grips. Handling, as you'd expect, is amazing. You just think where you want to go and the bike goes there. Tyres are very confidence inspiring. Okay. When you tuck down, the wind protection is pretty good actually. No buffeting off the screen, nice and clean, no turbulence. Again, making me think that actually if you wanted to tour, this bike would be fine for that. The seat is actually quite hard, but you can move forward and back quite a long way, so you can you know, give your joints a bit of a rest by changing your position. There's not too much on the road that's going to catch you when you're riding one of these. It's a brute of a bike. I love it. Even in 6th gear, she just wants to pull away like a missile. Lovely, lovely machine. Right, let's go down this way. See if I can find somewhere to park up and show you around this machine. So actually you can sit right up if you want to and give your back a bit of a rest. They've done a great job at making a sports bike accommodating for old fellas like me. I love what they've done with it. Nothing behind me. I'm just going to check the back brake. Yep, which works fine. And the front brake, I'll just show that again. Oh yeah, amazing. Handling is beautiful. You'd just sort of take that as read on a sports bike these days. And that gear change is so slick. The noise of the engine is beautiful, but it's not overwhelmingly loud. So again, if you want to take the bike on some distance touring, you wouldn't get fatigued by the noise of the bike at all. Certainly not with this standard cam. The clutch is lovely and light, but as this one is adjusted on this particular bike, I have to say it's a long old reach, but it is adjustable, I think. Actually, looking again, it's not adjustable. Both the levers are quite a big reach for somebody with smallish hands. And those could be easily changed, of course, for aftermarket levers, but I'm surprised on a premium bike like this that it doesn't have adjustable levers. Well, actually, looking at the clutch, that one is adjustable. Right, let's just take her through town. All sorts of things here could happen to get me. Looking surprisingly quiet today. Incredible how sports bikes have come on over the years, because you can just ride this here, look, at 10 miles an hour in first, and it's just not complaining at all. Try doing this on a 10-year-old Ducati. Seat height, although it's quite high, and we'll go through the specs when I do the walk around, I can get my feet nicely on the ground. They're almost flat-footed on both sides, and I'm only 5'8", so not a tall chap by any means. Wow, there's an amazing smell of molten chocolate here. Another thing that I love about motorcycling is you feel part of your environment, and if there is a good smell, you can enjoy it. Trouble is, that works both ways, of course. Instrument display on the bike is nice and clear. Big old analog RPM, and then LCD display for everything else you need to know. Speed, gear position, etc. This button down here marked trip, lap and set on the left hand bar. You can go through that and it shows you the various trip meters on the bike, miles per gallon and so on. And then if you press on the down part of that button, it takes you through various other trip computer parameters. Basically, you name it, it's got it. But nice display, very clear, no problem reading that. Now, to change engine modes on the bike, it's exactly the same as other BMWs. You've got the mode switch here. I'm in Sport at the moment. If I click down to Race here, then close the throttle as I did. There we are, I'm in race mode now. And then let's just Give that a try. Yeah, even in third from low speed, the pickup is pretty rapid. Just gives you all the power and all the throttle response. Well, it had all the power anyway, I think, but it gives you a bit more throttle response. And it's really aimed for the track, but it's there, you've got to try it, haven't you? It's had a lot of plaudits over the years, this bike, and I can see why. It really is a lovely thing to ride. Okay, hopefully slightly clear a bit of road. Head back up this way. Suspension on this bike is beautiful. This road is terribly rutted and potholed, but it just feels planted even on these sorts of roads. Brakes are amazing. It's just a missile, this bike. Wow. So much easier to ride fast than my Panigale, and that's not a difficult bike to ride. This thing just feels like it cossets you. The clever suspension and the ABS and the traction control are just flattering your riding all the time. It's a really nice riding experience. It's the end of my fun for a little bit. Right, let's park up over here for a bit. Show you around this beast, talk you through the spec. Here we go, nice and easy to find neutral. Sturdy looking side stand. Excellent. Alrighty, here we are at the Hand and Flowers. Let's show you around this splendid beast then. Here she is, the BMW S1000RR Sport in this case. Let me get my other camera out and I'll give you a look around, talk you through the spec. Okay, here we go then. Let's have a little look around this beast. Before we get into the spec, let's just show you the bike a bit. Now, I've always been a bit critical about some of the looks of BMWs, about the what I call the squinty front end, and this bike has that squinty front end, but I have to say it's sort of grown on me a little bit. And in the case of the S1000RR, I don't actually mind the looks of it so much, and I quite like the sort of shark gill effect that it has here to let some air flow through. I think it looks quite good, and the red part of the frame here I think enhances it as well. I think it's actually a better looking bike in the flesh than it looks in the pictures. I've been quite impressed with it, although actually it's such a nice bike to ride. It might just be because I've enjoyed riding it so much, it's just kind of endearing itself to me. But yeah, a mean looking thing. The thing is certainly very purposeful, that's for sure. So the spec then, engine is the 999cc 4-cylinder inline engine. Puts out a stonking 199 brake horsepower at 13,500 RPM. And the torque is not too shabby either, 113 Newton meters at 10,500 RPM. Weight wise, fully fueled, she's 208 kilograms or 179.5 kilograms dry, so incredibly light. And that tank there got a capacity of 17.5 litres, so quite a reasonable sized tank actually. Seat height 815 millimeters, so not actually as high as I thought it might be. It doesn't feel too high. As I say, I can get my feet almost flat on the ground, and I'm only 5'8". The exhaust, well, I can't say I like that too much, I must admit. Sounds good, but look at it, it's a bit hideous to look at, and that big old airbox on the bottom, I know they're necessary these days with Euro 4 and so on, but yeah, quite ugly. Maybe that needs to be changed out at some point. Looking around at some of the technology on the bike, there's the fancy new, or the fancy suspension at the back, the semi-active stuff, similar to what I've got on the GS actually. And there's the Gear Assist Pro, the up and down quick shifter that works so well on this bike. It's just a real treat to use. If we look at the instrumentation and the switch gear, it's got what I call the PCB type switches that don't have great tactile feedback, but pretty much all the BMWs are going that way these days, certainly the premium machines. Here we can see the clever adjusters for the suspension that do their thing on the move, and then the usual switches on that side, including the mode and the heated grips, which is such a great addition on a sports bike. No shame in having heated grips. Okay, so in terms of electronics package, it's got 3 riding modes, as I say. It's got this dynamic damping control, which is sort of a form of active suspension if you like. It's also got dynamic traction control, disengageable race ABS, and it's got the 3 riding modes that I talked about: rain, sport and race. The sport version, which is what this bike is, comes with heated grips, and you can buy various packages when you buy the bike. Dynamic package, which gives you the gear shift assist pro and the heated grips, white LED indicators and the dynamic damping control, or you can go for the performance package as well. That adds riding modes pro, which gives you some of that additional dynamic damping control adjustment that I talked about. And also there's lots of HP accessories available for it too. In terms of cost on the road, according to the BMW website, it says from 13,950 on the road. So again, normal sort of price for a litre sports bike. And knowing BMW, I'm sure you can add loads of options and extras from that HP package and bring the price up quite a lot if you want to. But less than 14 grand for the basic bike on the road, I don't think that's too bad value for what is a stonking bike. Alrighty, that's enough of a walk around and a chat then. Let's get back on her. Yeah, stonking machine. I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to like it actually. Really nice. Okay, let's get this bike back to its owners. Must just take the opportunity to thank the guys at Barnstormer in Maidenhead once again for letting me borrow one of their amazing bikes. Pop up there and see Eldo and the guys if you'd like a test ride on one of the machines. See what you think yourself, don't take my word for it. Very friendly bunch up there at Barnstormer. And always a great place to stop for a warm-up and a free coffee. Loving the quick shifter on this bike, works a real treat. It's just not a problem to ride this bike in traffic. It's just for a hairy sports bike, it really is easy to ride. So there we have it folks, that's just about it for my first impressions review of the splendid BMW S1000RR Sport. Really has surprised me actually on how comfortable it is and how practical it is for a sports bike. Probably the most comfortable and practical that I've yet ridden. With just things like having heated grips and cruise control itself, there's no shame in having those things. If it means you use the bike more, why not? And in terms of it as just a pure sports bike, well, the thing is just a thoroughbred. It goes like a missile. I mean, anything with 200 horsepower and 179 kilograms is going to go pretty quick. So I've been really impressed with the bike, love it. There's so many good bikes around at the moment. If you're in the market for a sports bike, you owe it to yourself to give one of these a go. I'd hate to stick my neck out and say which is the best of the crop so far, but for me this is pretty near the top, I think. And I guess it might partly come down to what you like the look of, but give one a go. Beautiful bike, I think you're going to like it. Okay, so that's it for me for this time. Hope that's been of some interest to you, and I look forward to speaking to you again. Until then, this has been the Missenden Flyer. Cheerio. Oh, boo. Double boo.